students, how are you all? Welcome to Sonia Ki Science Shala. I am Sonia and I teach science to class 6th, 7th and 8th. I am going to help you to understand the chapter, to make notes. I will give you question and answers, mind maps, and I will share many question banks with you so that it is easier for you to prepare for the exams. Today, I am going to start the second chapter of class 6 science, diversity in the living world. Which all living organisms are present in our surrounding, kids? The plants, the animals, and many microorganisms also. Microorganisms are so minute that you will not be able to see them. So, we will concentrate on the plants and the animals that you can see. So, what do? We go for a nature walk. The nature walk can be organized in the school by your teacher, and at home also you can go for a nature walk. In the evening, put on your shoes, take your notebook, take your pencil box, a water bottle and go for a nature walk. What is the difference between going for playing and going for a nature walk? When you are playing, concentrate on the game, right? But when you go for nature walk, you notice the things that are present around you. You notice the plants, chirp of the birds, the different types of animals that are present around you, the frogs, dogs, the cats, the cows and so many different animals. So, it is going to be a detailed study of the animals and the plants that are present around you. So, students, did you go for the nature walk? What all did you see over there? You might have found many plants and animals, right? So, now in this chapter, we are going to group those plants and animals. Why do we need to do that? Why do we need to group? Because grouping makes it easier to find the similarities and the differences, and it becomes very easy to study them. Even in your daily routine, you keep grouping things. Do you know that? While arranging your bag, you might have put all your notebooks together and your books together. Even in the pencil box, you put the pencils at one side, the pens at other side and the eraser, other stationeries at other side, right? So, why do you do that? It makes it easier to find, right? In the class also, teacher might have grouped you in different ways. Like during the morning assembly, there is a line which comprises of boys only and there is one more line of girls. There are various houses, the green house, the red house. So, there also teacher is grouping you. Why is she doing that? So that is easier to handle, easier to manage and easier to find talent. Okay, so now we are going to group those plants and animals that you found yesterday so that it is easy to study their characteristics and the differences between each group. Like, you can be put in different groups. For example, you can be a part of boys group, you can be a part of yellow house, you can be a part of those students who were born in January. Similarly, the plants can be also part of different groups. So, first we will be grouping the plants according to their appearance. How they look. You might have seen some plants which are very small. They are called herbs. At the same time, you might have seen slightly bigger plants. They are shrub, and those which are tall are called trees. Well, there are two other group of plants. One, the climbers, and other, the creepers. What are climbers? As the name suggests, the climbers are those plants which needs a support to grow. Okay, so they take the support of other trees or they take support of anything, maybe a wall. Why do they need it? Because they have got very tender stem, and that is the reason why the climber requires support. Next group of plant is the creepers. Their stems are also very delicate and weak. They cannot climb up. So, they crawl on the ground. They are called creepers. Okay. So, these are the 5 classes of plants. The herbs, the shrubs, the trees, the climbers and the creepers. So, see how you have grouped the plants according to their appearance. Let us quickly discuss about the grouping of plants based on their appearance. First, we will talk about the height. So the trees, they are tall. The shrubs, they are shorter than trees. And the herbs, they are short plants. About the stem, first is the color of the stem. The trees, the stem is brown in color. The shrubs, there also the stem is brown in color. And in case of herbs, the stem is green in color. Now we talk about the strength of the stem. So in case of tree, the stems are very rigid and strong. In case of shrubs, the stems are strong. While in case of herbs, the stems are weak and flexible. Now about the thickness of the stem. In case of tree, the stems are very thick. The bottom part is called the trunk. In case of shrub, the stem is slightly less thicker as compared to trees. But in case of herbs, the stems are very slender and thin. Now we talk about the branching pattern. In case of trees, the branching starts away from the ground. In case of shrubs, branching starts near the ground. While in case of herbs, the branching starts near the ground because they are very small. For example, trees, example is neem, banyan, etc. The example of shrub is tea, cotton, rose, etc. Example of herbs is coriander, grass, etc. Now we talk about the creepers. In creepers, the stems are very weak stem and so they crawl on the ground. They crawl or creep on the ground. Example, pumpkin and watermelon. There are many more. They need support to climb. They need support of other plants or they need support of a wall or anything. Example, money plant, grapes.
Hi, I'm Herb. My stems are green and tender. Example, coriander and mint. Hi, I am Shrub. I have woody brown stem. My stem is hard. I'm shorter than tree, and unlike tree, my branches starts close to ground.
Hi, I'm Tree. I am tall and big. I have a strong, thick, hard trunk, which is brown in color. My branches start away from the ground.
Let us quickly write down few of the examples of different types of plants. The first type is the herbs, and example of few of the herbs are coriander, spinach, grass, etc. Example of the shrubs are rose, tea, China rose, tulsi, cotton, etc. Example of trees are mango, neem, banyan, etc. The example of creepers are pumpkin, watermelon, etc. And the example of climbers are money plant, grapes, beans, etc. This is not the only way of grouping plants. The other way of grouping plants is very easy. You just need to pluck the leaf of the plant. Don't pluck all the leaves, okay? You are not supposed to disturb the nature while you are studying it. Just pluck one leaf and see the way the veins are arranged on the leaf. Before that, I need to tell you what are the parts of the leaf. The part of the leaf which attaches the leaf to the stem is called petiole. The entire leaf surface is called the lamina. The thick pipe-like thing running through the center of the leaf, it is called the midrib. And there are many veins which you can see originating from the midrib. So this is the petiole, this is the lamina, the entire leaf surface, this is the midrib, and here are the veins. Now that you know the parts of the leaf, let us quickly see what are the two different types of leaf. You might have seen veins on the leaf, right? So if it is like a net, then it is called reticulate venation. It is usually seen in most of the leaves that you see around. Like the guava, the mango, the peepal, the neem, they all are in reticulate venation. The next type of leaf are parallel venation, where the veins run parallel to each other, like the grass, the rice, the wheat, etc. The first one is the reticulate venation, where there is a midrib which is thick and all the other veins starts from the midrib and they run like a mesh in the entire leaf. This type of leaf venation is called reticulate venation, and the example are rose, neem, mango. The next type of leaf venation is since they run parallel to each other. This type of leaf venation is called parallel venation, and it is found in the plants like rice, grass, wheat, etc.
I am a leaf with reticulate venation. I am the leaf with parallel venation.
That is not all. You can again group plants according to the type of root they have. You might have seen different roots, right? For example, carrot. For example, radish. You eat them. So, what do you see? It is a big root with side branches. Have you seen? So, that type of root where there is a main root which is thick and it has got many different branches, they are called taproot system. All the roots comes out in a bunch from one single place where none of the root is the main root, all are of more or less the same thickness. Those roots are called fibrous roots. For example, you might have seen in grass. Did you find any main root in grass? No, there is no main root. So, the grass has a fibrous root system. Let us talk about the types of root in different plants. First is the taproot system, where there is a central thick root. See here you can see the central thick root, and this is called the main root or the taproot. And these roots which branches out of the central root, these roots, they are called lateral roots. The plants that have this type of root system are radish, mango, carrot, neem, etc. Now, the next type of root system is the fibrous root system. In this type of root system, the root arises from one center place and they are more or less of the same thickness. See, you can see all the roots arising from one point and they all are of nearly the same thickness. This type of root system is called the fibrous root system, and it is present in rice, grass, banana, etc.
I'm the main root and these are my lateral branches.
I am taproot system.
We are all of nearly of the same thickness and none is the main.
I am fibrous root system. Again, it is not the only way of grouping plants. In fact, the seeds are also there, right? Have you ever split a seed? Take chana, gram, okay, or take rajma. There is a thin shell, right? When you split open the rajma, the smaller things that are present inside it, it is called the cotyledon. You have seen that in rajma, there are two cotyledons, right? So, any seed which has got two cotyledon, it is called dicot seed. While in case of rice, you might have seen, can you split it into two? No. Why? because rice has got only one cotyledon. So, those seeds which have got one cotyledon is called a monocot seed, while those seeds which has got two cotyledons, it is called a dicot seed. Here we can see two different types of seed. One is monocot and the other is dicot. So, the monocot seed has only one cotyledon. You can see here it has got only one cotyledon. Example is rice, wheat, maize, etc. The next type is the dicot seed. Here the seeds have two cotyledons. Example rajma, beans, groundnut, etc. There is a relationship between the leaf, the root and the seed of the plant. So, let us quickly understand the relationship between the leaf venation, the root type and the seed type. In case of dicot plant, the leaf venation is reticulate venation. The root type is taproot system and the seed type is dicot seed. Now, in case of monocot plant, the leaf venation is parallel venation. The root type is fibrous root and the seed type is monocotyledonous seed. Now that you have grouped the plants, similarly we can group animals in different ways. One of the way of grouping the animals is the way they move from one place to another. Few animals, they hop. For example, the rabbits, the frogs, the kangaroo. Few animals, they walk. For example, we human. So first we will consider those animals which walk. The examples are humans, cows, dogs, elephant, etc. The animals that hop are frog, rabbit, squirrel, kangaroo, etc. The animals that crawl are lizards, crocodiles, turtles, snail, etc. The animals that fly are birds, insects, bats, etc. The animals that swim are fish, crocodile, even we humans sometimes swim. The other way of grouping the animals can be the food they eat. For example, the herbivores. They are the animals that totally depends on the plants for their food. The elephant, the deer, the cow, they are all herbivore animal. Next group is the carnivores. Carnivores are those animals which depend on other animal for their food. They eat the flesh of other animal. For example, the lion, the tiger, leopard, they are all carnivore animal. Next group is omnivore animals. Omnivore animals are those animals that can depend both on plant as well as on the other animal, that is the flesh of other animal for their food. Example, we humans. We can eat both plant product as well as animal product, right? Similarly, the monkeys, the birds, they are also omnivore animal because the bird both depends on the seed for their food as well as on other insects for their food. There is one more class of animal, it is called the scavenger. Scavenger are those animals which eat the flesh of dead animals. So, you see, we have again grouped the animals according to their food habit. Let us quickly group the animals based on the food they eat. The first group is herbivore, the animals that depends on plant for their food. For example, cow, goat, deer, elephant, etc. The second group is the carnivore. They are those animals which depends on other animal for their food. They eat the flesh of other animal. For example, lion, tiger, leopard, etc. The next group are those animals which depends both on the plants as well as animal for their food. They are called omnivores. Example of omnivores are we humans, the monkeys, most of the birds, etc. And the last group of animals are scavengers. They eat the flesh of dead animals. Example, vultures, hyenas, etc. Students, now that you know how to group the plants and animals, let us go back to your nature walk. You found different types of plants and animals during your nature walk, right? And what was the word for that? All the living organisms in a particular surrounding are called the biodiversity of that surrounding. The variety of plants and animals found in a particular region contributes to the biodiversity of that region. What is that surrounding called? Where the living organisms are living? It is called the habitat of that living organism. So what is habitat? Habitat is the place where the living organism thrives or lives. Habitat can be of three different types. One is the terrestrial habitat, where the living organisms, that is the plants or the animals, they are living on land. For example, the monkeys, the tiger, the lion, we human, we all live on land. So we will be called terrestrial animals, plants that live on land. For example, the neem tree, the peepal tree, do they grow in water? No, they grow on land. So they are called terrestrial plants. The next is the aquatic habitat, where the plants and the animals, they live in water. For example, the lotus, the water lily, they grow in water, right? So they belong to aquatic habitat. The fishes, they live in water, so their habitat is aquatic. Now there are few animals and plants also which can live both in water as well as on land. Those living organisms which can live both in water as well as on land are called amphibians. For example, the frog, the toad, they live both in water as well as on land, right? So they are called amphibian. Now we know that there are three major different types of habitats. One is the terrestrial habitat, other is the amphibians, and the third is the aquatic habitat. Now this terrestrial habitat can further be divided into different groups. For example, the land can be a desert also, it can be a forest also, it can be a grassland also, it can be mountains, is that not? Similarly, the aquatic habitat can further be divided into two types. One is the freshwater habitat, which comprises of ponds, lakes, rivers, etc. And other is the marine habitat, which contains the seas and the ocean where the water is salty. So again, let us quickly recall what is a habitat. Habitat is the place where the animal or the plant is living. Those plants and animals which live on land are called terrestrial. For example, terrestrial animals can be cow, we humans, tiger, lion, etc. While terrestrial plants can be neem, tulsi, etc. Now when we talk about the aquatic animals, it can be fishes, aquatic plants can be lotus, lily, etc. Now when we talk about the amphibian animals can be frog, it can be toad, it can be crocodile, etc. And the amphibian plants can be water hyacinth, water spinach, etc. Now tell me about these amphibians. They live in both the habitat, right? So how do they do that? Because they have adapted themselves to live in both the habitat. What is adaptation? Adaptation are those characteristics which develops inside the body of the living organism to suit themselves according to the environment in which they live. The special features that enables plants and animals to survive in a particular region are called adaptations. For example, the frog, they can respire both on land as well as in water because their respiratory system is dual type, where on land they respire using their lungs and in water they respire using their moist skin. So see, they have adapted themselves. Similarly, the fishes, they have also adapted themselves to live in water. For example, their body is streamlined. What is a streamlined body? A streamlined body is a body which is broader at the center and it tapers at the end. For example, this body, you see, it is broader over here and it tapers at both the ends. Now, recall the shape of fish. It looks like this, right? It is broader over here and it is tapering at both the ends. Is it not? How does this shape of the body help the fish? It helps the fish to swim through water very easily. The water will provide the least resistance if body is streamlined. Can you guess few of the objects that are made streamlined? Yes, the airplane and the ships, they are made streamlined. Why? So that the fluid through which they are flowing provides least resistance to them and they can sail through easily through those fluids. The fishes have fins also, which helps them to swim through the water. So these are the adaptations in the fishes. Can a same type of animal have different adaptations? For example, camel. Camel, be it in desert or in cold desert like Leh Ladakh, are they the same? Yes, camel is camel. But they are different in different habitat. They have adapted themselves to the habitat. The camel, which is present in desert, has broad hooves and they have got long legs. Why? To stay away from the hot sand and so that they do not sink in the sand. But camel found in the mountain areas, there the habitat is different. It is cold and it is rocky terrain, right? So their hooves are much more rough so that they can walk easily through the roughy terrain and their height is smaller as compared to those of the sand desert. Let us quickly differentiate between the camels that are found in mountain and those which are found in desert. So first we will talk about the desert camel. The height of desert camel is more as compared to that of the mountain camel. Why? So that they can stay away from the sand. While in case of the mountain camel, the height is less because they need to balance themselves in the hilly areas. Then comes the hump. The desert camel has one hump. You see over here, it has got one hump. While the mountain camel have got two humps. Now we talk about the hooves. The desert camel has broad hooves so that they do not sink in the sand, while the mountain camel have rough hooves so that they can walk easily through the sharp rocks in the mountain. Now we talk about the similarities between both the camels. The first similarity is they both have humps. And the second similarity is the concentrated urine that they pass. And the third similarity is their dry dung. Now you know how these camels and this fish, how they adapted themselves to the changing environment. Can you tell me few more animals which have adapted themselves according to the surrounding? Some more are the mountain goats. The hooves of the mountain goats are very sturdy and rough so that they can climb easily on the mountains. The polar bear. The white color of the polar bear helps it to camouflage in the surrounding. More examples are the frogs. The hind limbs of the frogs are very strong so that they can leap very easily. Similarly, the kangaroos. Hind limbs of the kangaroos are very strong so that they can leap high. These all are adaptations that are found in animals. What about the plants? Even the plants adapt to their habitat. For example, the cactus. Have you seen cactus? Where exactly are they mostly found? They are mostly found in desert areas. So, what are the adaptations in cactus? Tell me. The cactus do not have leaves. Have you seen leaves on cactus? No, they do not have leaves. They have spines. Why? It is because in the desert area there is shortage of water, right? And what does the leaf do? They do photosynthesis. At the same time, there is one more process which is carried out through the leaves. The process is called transpiration, where the plant loses excess water from its body through the leaves. Now, in the desert area, there is shortage of water. If the leaves start losing water, then the cactus will fall short of water, and that is why their leaves have changed to spines. In cactus, the stem is doing the process of photosynthesis. Moreover, the stems, they store extra water in it. The stem has a very thick cuticle. The outer layer is very thick so that it does not lose water through its body. The cuticle layer of the stem of a cactus does not allow the water to leave its body. Even the roots of the cactus, the fibrous root system, and it spreads far. It doesn't go deep, it spreads far. Why does it spread far? So that when during the rainy season, if it rains, the roots can absorb as much water and store in its body. The first adaptation is their leaves have changed to spines. The second adaptation is the stems are succulent to store water for adverse condition. The third adaptation is they have fibrous root which runs far so that they can absorb as much water as possible. Can you give me few more examples of adaptations in plants? Well, yes. How many of you have been to the mountain areas? There the plants are conical in shape. They are like this, right? Why? Because in the mountain areas usually there is high rainfall and snowfall. They have got sliding branches. The shape is like this. If the snow falls over here, it will slide down easily. And even the leaves of the plants over there are needle shaped so that it does not break during the snowfall and heavy rainfall. Deodar trees are found in mountains. Their shape is conical. Next adaptation is their roots run very deep into the ground. And the next adaptation is their leaves are needle shaped. One more example is rhododendrons. Now rhododendrons are plants which are found in different habitats. They are found in Sikkim also and they are found in Nilgiri hills also. But the same plant is different in Sikkim and in Nilgiri hill. The rhododendrons that grow in Nilgiri hill are shorter in height and even the leaves are smaller, while those rhododendrons which grow in Sikkim have broader leaves and their height is more. Why is it so? Because in the Nilgiri hills the wind speed is very high, and if the plants are bigger, there are more chances of it getting broken. So the plants have adapted according to the habitat. So the rhododendrons found in Sikkim are taller as compared to those found in the Nilgiri area. The next difference is the rhododendrons found in Sikkim has broader leaves, while those found in Nilgiri area has got smaller leaves. When you go out for nature walk or when you visit the nature or your surrounding, you must remember that you are not supposed to disturb the other living organisms around you, be it plant or animal, because they are not disturbing you, right? So why should you disturb them? You know, there was a time when the population of tiger in our country dropped down, and what happened next? The government, they started Project Tiger, where the tigers were preserved in the reserve forest. There are reserve forests dedicated to the tigers, where the tigers can live in their natural habitat. It is not only about tigers. it is about other animals as well, like the one-horned rhinoceros. It is preserved in Kaziranga, where they can grow and reproduce easily, and thus we can actually help them and we can save them from getting extinct. When you went for your nature walk, you might have seen different birds. One more person who loved to watch birds was Salim Ali, and he is called the Birdman of India. He studied birds in Bharatpur, Ranthambore and different parts of India, and he wrote 10 different books on those birds. So, even without disturbing the nature, you can actually contribute to the nature by actually observing and documenting about them so that it can be useful to other people. The Silent Valley movement was against the building of a hydroelectric project across the river Kuntipuza. Now, what was it going to do? It was going to cause problems to the surrounding. People from all across the country, they started a protest, and ultimately they were successful in that, and they stopped the construction of that hydroelectric project over there. They stopped the destruction of that forest. That forest is called the Silent Valley. Janki Ammal is a scientist and a botanist who actually protested and saved the Silent Valley. But just think, nowadays we have got these reserve forests and places where we are actually protecting these animals. How about the times when there was no reserve forest? There used to be traditional ways of protection of the biodiversity. For example, there are sacred groves. Do you know what are they? They are areas in the forest, or they are areas adjoining the villages where the villagers preserve the surrounding by not cutting the trees and not venturing into hunting. So, those are called sacred groves. Now, how do they do it? They declare those places to be sacred where they pray. So, wherever you pray, do you hunt over there? Do you kill things over there? No, you don't. And this is how our ancestors used to protect the forest, by designating few places as sacred places and where there was no hunting allowed. We must not disturb our plants and animals because they are very useful to us. We are dependent on them and they are dependent on us. So, we should have a healthy relationship with our surrounding. Let us quickly summarize the chapter Diversity in the Living World. We started with the term biodiversity. The variety of plants and animals found in a particular region contributes to the biodiversity of that region. Then we group the plants based on their appearance. We took different characteristics. The first characteristic was the height. The trees, they are tall, shrubs, they are shorter than the trees, and herbs, they are the shortest. Then came the next characteristic, that is the stem color. In trees, the stems are brown in color. In shrubs, the stems are brown in color, and in herbs, the stems are green in color. Then the strength of the stem. In trees, the stems are rigid and strong. In shrubs, they are strong but not that rigid. And in case of herbs, the stems are weak and flexible. Then came the thickness of the stem. In trees, the stems are quite thick. Then came the shrub. The stems are less thicker as compared to that of the tree, but they are brown in color. And in case of herbs, the stems are tender and thin. Next came the branching pattern. In case of trees, the branching starts away from the ground. In case of shrubs, the branching starts near the ground. And in case of herbs, the branching starts near the ground as they are very small plants. Then came the example. The example of trees are neem and banyan. The example of shrubs are tea, cotton and rose. The example of herbs are coriander and grasses. There are many other examples, but we have taken only a few. Then came the next type of plants. They are creepers. Creepers have weak stem and they creep or crawl on the ground. For example, pumpkin and watermelon. While the next one is the climbers. Climbers need support to climb. they climb high, and the examples of climber are money plants and grapes. We also talked about the types of leaf venation. What is leaf venation? It is the arrangement of veins on the leaf. We talked about reticulate venation. What is reticulate venation? Where the veins are arranged in a net-like fashion on the leaf surface. Example is rose, neem, mango, etc. Then we talked about parallel venation, where the veins, they travel parallel to each other, as in case of rice, grass, wheat, etc. We also talked about the different types of seed. When you cannot split open a seed into two parts, it has got only one cotyledon, then it is called a monocotyledonous seed, as in case of rice and wheat. Then we talked about the dicotyledonous seed. When you open the seed, it splits into two parts, and those two parts are called the cotyledon of the seed, and the example of dicotyledonous seeds are rajma, beans, groundnut, etc. We next talked about the types of root. There are two different types of root system present in the plants. The first is the tap root system. Here there is a main root which is thick, and lateral branches arises from the main root. Example is radish, mango, carrot, neem, etc. We also talked about fibrous root system, where all the roots starts branching out from one single place, and there is no main root. All the roots are nearly of the same thickness. Example, rice, grass, cactus. We next group the plants according to the leaf venation, the root type and the seed type, and we found that there is a very interesting relationship between all three. If the plant is dicotyledonous plant, then the leaf venation will be reticulate venation, the root system will be a tap root system, and the seed type will be a dicot seed. While in case of monocotyledonous plant, the leaf venation will be a parallel venation, the root type will be fibrous root, and the seed type will be monocotyledonous seed. Next, we group the animals based on their food habit. The first type of animal were the herbivores. Example, cow, goat, deer. They depend on plant for their food. The next type of animals are carnivores, which eat the flesh of other animals. Example, lion, tiger, leopard, etc. Then we spoke about omnivores. Next we spoke about scavengers, which depends on the flesh of dead animals for their food. Example, vultures and hyenas. We also group the animals based on their movement. The animals that walk are humans, cows, dogs, etc. The animals that hop are frogs, rabbits, squirrels. Those animals which crawls are lizard, crocodile, turtles, etc. Animals that fly are birds and insects. Animals which swim are fish, crocodile, etc. And the animals which slithers are snake and all the legless worms. We then learnt about the different types of habitat. First is the terrestrial habitat, where the organism lives on land. Example of animals that live on land are humans, cow, tiger, etc. An example of the plants that live on land are neem and tulsi. We spoke about the aquatic animals. They are those animals which live in water. Example of animals which live in water are fishes, and example of plants that lives in the water are lotus and lily. Next we talked about the amphibians. They are the organisms that live both in water as well as on land. Examples are frog and toad. An example of plants that live in water are water hyacinth and water spinach. We then learnt about different adaptations. So what is adaptation? The special features that enables plants and animals to survive in a particular region are called the adaptations. We learnt about the adaptation in cactus. They are leaves changed to spines so as to reduce the amount of water loss due to transpiration. The stems are succulent in cactus. They have got fibrous root, and the stem does the process of photosynthesis as there are no leaves. We also learnt about the adaptation in deodar trees. These are the trees that we find in mountain areas. They are conical in shape so that the snow falling over them can slide through easily without breaking the stems. The deodar trees have very deep roots so that the root can hold the tree strongly to the ground. Next, the deodar trees have needle-shaped leaves so that the leaves do not break when the snow falls on them. We also studied about the mountain camel and the desert camel, how they adapt differently to different habitat, the characteristics based on which we differentiate the camel of mountain and that of desert are as follows. The first is the height. The desert camels are more in height and the mountain camels are shorter than the desert camels. The mountain camel has one hump while the desert camel has got two humps. The hooves, the desert camels have broader hooves so that they do not sink in the sand, and the mountain camels have rough hooves so that they can walk easily through the rocky surface of the mountains. We also discussed about the similarities between the two camels. They both have humps, they both pass concentrated urine, and they both pass dry dung. We also compared the rhododendrons that are found in Sikkim and the ones that are found in Nilgiri. The rhododendrons that are found in Sikkim are taller than those found in the Nilgiri hill. This is because the wind speed is too high in the Nilgiri hills. Moreover, the leaves of the rhododendrons that are found in Sikkim are broader as compared to those found in the Nilgiri hills. Few of the adaptations that we discussed through the chapter are: the first is about cactus. They have got succulent stem, the leaves has changed to spines, the stems have a thick cuticle, etc. The next is the deodar. Their shape is conical and their leaves are needle shaped. Next is the rhododendrons of Nilgiri. They are shorter in height and the leaves are smaller. We also talked about adaptation in different animals. First is the camels. About their hump we have already discussed that they store the food and the water for adverse condition in their humps. The urine that they pass are concentrated and the dung is dry. The adaptation in frog, they have strong hind limb so that they can jump easily, and they have got a dual respiratory system where they can respire through their lungs when they are on land and through their moist skin when they are in water. We also discussed about the adaptation in fishes. They have got streamlined body and they have got fins so that they can swim easily through the water. The adaptation in snow leopard, they have got thick furs so that they can stop the movement of warmth out of their body, and they have got white fur so that they can camouflage in the surrounding. About the adaptation in giraffe, they have got long neck which helps them to eat the leaves which are present on the top of the trees, and thus it helps to reduce the competition of giraffe with other herbivore animals. I hope you liked the chapter and I hope it has benefited you. So please subscribe to my channel Sonia Ki Science Shala. I will attach the notes, the question and answers, the question bank, the mind maps along with this educational video. So go through it. Bye bye.